hog hunting is huge in Texas and honestly quite a lot of the southern states. It's pretty popular.
In one part of the state, they'll find hogs that have genetics from, an 8-hour drive away.
This dude built a harpoon cannon, and he was trying to shoot a pig with that thing.
With it being private property, it's hard to put these mandates out there and to get these, landowners on board.
Welcome to Wildlife Outdoors with your host, Russell and Jose. If you have a passion for conservation of the outdoors, or you're enjoying a calming hike in the mountains, an exhilarating kayak trip on the river, feeling a fish on the end of your line, cooking on an open flame in a primitive campsite, or stalking big game, just waiting for the perfect shot, you're in the right place. So put on your boots and polarized sunglasses and come along for the ride.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Wildlife Outdoors podcast. My name is Jose, and obviously the host, Russell, is here with us. This is, my first time doing the intro since I've been back. Super rusty. Always have been. Probably always will be, but it's all right.
Hey, dude, there's so many episodes that I've had to do it 3-4 times. Or even some episodes I go and do it after the fact, and then I just kind of like splice it in.
Dude, you can't be giving away trade secrets, bro. Come on. Just kidding. No, man. Yeah, dude, nice shirt. Looking spiffy.
Dude, appreciate it, man. 4th of July is coming up. We had a little 4th of July lunch thing at work today, and so I figured I'd try to be festive.
Nice.
So, you ever had Moe's Southwest Grill?
Never even heard of it, dude.
Dude, it's good. It's like I wouldn't say, it has stuff kind of similar to Chipotle, like it has burrito bowls and stuff. But dude, it's so freaking good. But we had it catered today at work, so it was
good. Nice. No, dude, there's a place in College Station. It's kind of like Chipotle. It's called Cava, but it's like this Mediterranean, I think. Dude, that place is legit. I've only been there once. I met up there with some friends one time for lunch. Dude, it's really, really good. They actually have one in Kyle. They're getting so much stuff. Dude, there's so much stuff in Kyle now. It's ridiculous.
That's insane. Kyle's growing. Dude, I remember when Kyle was just so tiny, and now it's like there's so.
I know. We had to go to San Marcos or to Austin to get anything. Now we don't even have to leave. It's wild, dude. The only thing they're missing is a mall, which I wouldn't doubt will be built in a few years or something.
I mean, they got plenty of like strip centers that basically take the place of a mall.
Well, I mean, and also like the San Marcos outlets are in. I mean, not just up the road, so maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I don't think they'll build one because malls are kind of going out. Like the mall here in Hot Springs is, dying. It's dead most of the time. Highland Mall shut down.
The one in College Station is sad.
Really?
I don't think anybody goes. I mean, obviously people go, but it's like, it's kind of sad, man. It's everything just kind of looks old. It's kind of depressing to be in there, honestly.
See, the one here, it's like a lot of the stores just shut down. And so there's just so many empty stores, like the Sears obviously shut down, JCPenney and, all of that stuff. So, I mean, I don't even know what's open in there. There's probably, I think, there's a clothing store that's open in there, a big one. But yeah, I don't know. Most things are just closed.
Yeah. What's cool about the San Marcos outlets, though, is you can usually find really good prices on stuff on those factory outlet stores like Columbia. Before my trip to South Carolina, I went in there, found a hoodie a rain jacket, which reminds me, I need to unpack that. But my rain jacket for I think it was like $40 maybe. And then they have what is it called? A Columbia clearance outlet. So everything, that store's already, they already have great deals, but then this one, it's like everything's being liquidated super cheap. I should have gone there first because I found another rain jacket for like $15. It's crazy, man. It's pretty awesome. Actually, I got the shirt from there for like 10.
Nice. I still have a Longhorns Columbia shirt that I got from there that was like $15-$20. I think I was with you when I got it. It was a long time ago.
Shoot, maybe. Is that the one you wore to College Station? You almost got in like several fights.
Yeah. Yep. On game day at Wolfpen Creek. Yep. Great times.
Great times. But yeah, man. So 4th of July, you got any plans?
Man, not really. Might go take pictures in Little Rock or something. I don't know. I kind of want to get
a fireworks show.
Yeah, apparently the company I work for has been putting one on for like decades, and I knew nothing about it until like this week. And apparently it's like one of the biggest ones. So, it's called Pops on the market, or it's called Pop something. But apparently I've been doing it for like 20-30 years. So yeah, I'm probably gonna go and take pictures of it. I want to try to go to North Little Rock and take pictures of it from the other side of the river, coming back towards Little Rock. Kind of get the cityscape and the fireworks. I think it'll be pretty cool.
That'd be dope.
So we'll see. That's probably about it. And then I got invited to go up to the Buffalo this weekend, but haven't got any details on it. So I don't think I'm gonna go. And it's pretty low. So and then it's gonna be 4th of July weekend, and it's probably gonna be stupid. Like I don't do the whole party stuff, and that's probably what it'll be if there's enough water. So I don't think I'm gonna go to it, but that's about it. Yeah. What about you?
So usually on 4th of July we all have like a get together at my grandma's. Usually just the old fashioned burgers and hot dogs type deal, and that's what we're doing again this year. And then we go and watch the fireworks show. But it's so freaking hot, man. I don't know if we're gonna go to the fireworks show, and also it's a headache trying to get out once it's over. Like you're stuck in traffic for like an hour, and I don't really want to deal with that. I can watch the fireworks from my yard or something, So it's still up in the air if we'll go do that or not. But we're just probably going to get the family together and just grill out, hang out, all that stuff. Nice. Same old, So it'll be nice, man. I'm pretty pumped. I always enjoy and my brother might come into town too, so it'd be cool to kick it with him for a little bit. I haven't seen him in a while. So it'll be nice, man, to get everybody together, just kind of hang out and everything. And then as for the weekend, man, I have to go back to College Station to get the rest of my stuff from the house. So I moved out. Let me rephrase. I'm in the process of moving out. Took the majority of my stuff out Sunday. My folks came up and helped me carry some of my stuff out and everything. Helped me move it all out. So I'm gonna go get what's left. Just a couple little things here and there. And then my girlfriend's also moving, so I might help her. I need to figure out what day she's going. If I'm around, at the same time, I'll go help her and her family move some stuff too. And then that's pretty much it, man. Just pretty much a low key weekend. Just trying to get moving. Got some exciting things coming up in the near future. I'll probably touch more on once those have, fallen in place. Update the listeners and things on. So I'm pretty pumped about that. But yeah, man. So moving out. I'll be in Kyle for the next few weeks. So I'm going to be trying to do more fishing. I'm relax a little bit. And, I'm pretty excited. So I'm going to try and hit up the San Marcos. Going to try and hit up, maybe go check out Brushy Creek. The Rio should be out and about. So I got to try and track some of them down. And then, man, just, have some fun. I want to reach out to Grant and see if he wants to link up, do some fishing sometime. And then of course, reach out to Marco, maybe make a real coast run or something at some point. But yeah, man, just try and cram as much family and friend time as I can before, my next chapter and all that stuff, which again, I'll touch on later. So, and I got to sort out some other things for that too. But things are going pretty good, man. So this weekend be busy. Next few weekends probably busy, but looking forward to some time to actually do a little bit of fishing, actually relax a little bit, spend some time with family and friends and everything. So we'll see, bud. We'll see what happens.
Lord knows that you need it.
Dude, we all do, man. We all need a little break sometimes,
Right. Yeah, I need to get out and do some fishing. I might go do some fishing on Thursday.
You have Thursday off?
Weather. I do. So
nice.
Might try to get up and do some early fishing. Go hit up the river before all the crazy tubers and stuff get there. But yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to get a line wet.
So not only are the cicadas hatching, but the tubers are too, huh?
Cicadas ain't hatching no more. It's been done and over for a while.
Oh, has it really?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Did you want to hear something funny? The other day I was, who was it? I think it was last weekend. I was back home. And my dad comes out of the restroom and he's holding something in his hand. He goes over to my mom. He goes, "Hey, look!" Mom starts freaking out, dude. And he opens it up. It's a little cicada. I don't know where it came from, but he walked out of the restroom with it. But it wasn't like the Brood X or whatever. It's just your normal. Actually, I don't know the species name of it, but just a green one. It was pretty big, dude. It was like, I don't know, maybe an inch long, inch and a half long. Kind of derpy looking when you actually look at them pretty close because our eyes are super wide.
But kind of are.
Kind of like Sid the Sloth, dude.
Yeah.
Super, super wide eyes, and they had like a little black band going across. Like I had a little mask, but it was pretty cool, dude. I haven't really seen one up close in a long time, but it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. I still don't know where that thing came from. We let it go, so it should. Well, I don't know if it's still.
Oh, it was still alive.
Yeah, it was still alive.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we've had the annuals here pretty heavy lately. This past what day was it? I guess it was probably Sunday, maybe. No, it was Saturday. Me and Adeline went to the pool, and there were so many bugs in there. I mean, a lot of beetles, and so I was, me and her were scooping them out. Adeline isn't afraid of bugs at all, and so we ended up collecting like 57 of those little brown beetles that were just floating in the pool. 2 frogs, a couple dragonflies, and then 3 of the annual Dog Day cicadas. And she was putting them on their own little individual tables and playing with them and just having a good time. And other people would come to the pool and she wanted to show them her pet cicadas. I was just like this child,
her pet cicadas.
Yeah, but yeah, they were the green ones. But yeah, I haven't seen a black one in I guess it's been probably close to a month since I've seen a periodical.
Wow.
I didn't really see any when I went up to the Northwest either. Northwest Arkansas, I didn't really see many. I saw some the first go around when I was on drag over when I caught all those fish. I saw some then, but they just they died off. I mean, they're not adults for long anyways, but they died off pretty quick. So we've been having the annuals, but yeah, no cicada hatches unfortunately, but a lot of tube hatches. So
I know, man. I do want to go. I was talking to Matt the other day, Mateo. I was like, dude, I really want to go swimming. I haven't been swimming in a long time. I want to go to the San Marcos River. We used to go there all the time in high school during the summer. Yeah, remember Frisbee Dan?
Yep. Oh, Frisbee Dan.
Yeah, we were talking about him the other day because my girlfriend, she went to Texas State for her master's. And I was like, did you ever meet that guy? She goes, oh, yeah. Like, everybody knows Frisbee Dan.
Yeah.
He's a staple in Texas State, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, but him and his dirty jokes.
Dude was a character, dude. But yeah, Sewell Park was a lot of fun. Going down the falls at Rio Vista was a lot of fun. Yep. And the water's super cold and clear. Yeah, man, I think I'm gonna try and go fish. Or sorry, well, yes, I do want to go fishing out there, but I'll probably go take a little dip too. It's been a while.
Yeah, I haven't been swimming in Sewell Park in forever. I think the last 2 times I've been to the San Marcos, all I did was fish. I didn't swim it, and I think both those times were with you. But dude, I haven't swam there in forever. I used to swim there. I mean, it was like a daily thing. I was always on the San Marcos, whether it was at Rio or it was at the Lions Club or it was at Sewell. I was always there.
Did you ever take Diogi?
Yeah, Diogi would go float with me. Diogi, and then when I had Dixie, she would float with me a lot. Diogi liked to kind of swim more, so I would keep Diogi. I wouldn't take him as often as I would like. Well, I never took Dixie without Diogi. But I wouldn't take him as often as I wanted to because he always wanted to swim, and then he'd try to get on other people's tubes and stuff like that. So it was busy, I wouldn't take him. But if it wasn't busy, I'd take him.
Nice. Oh, DOG, hope that dude's doing good.
I hope so too. haven't heard, but last I heard, he's doing good. So
that's good. Well, all right, man. Let's so for today, since we haven't had one in a while, I found a jackwagon of the week.
Ooh, yeah.
Just going to try and summarize as best I can. So essentially, what happened was this dude, records show that he's from, I think he was a former police officer in Louisiana or something, wanted to move to Montana for its outdoor opportunity, specifically hunting. He was bragging about these 3 deer that he had killed, right? And that he didn't need a license to take them and this and that because on the reservation, you don't need a license to hunt there or whatever. This is, of course, paraphrasing. There are more details in the article. Check that out in case I get anything wrong. Just going off memory here. But it's true, at least from what the article, at least from what I can gather from the article, it is true that they don't give hunting licenses to non-members. However, they also don't allow non-members to hunt on reservation lands, even when they're invited by guests. So this guy had been hunting on reservation land, and he was tampering with witnesses, trying to get them to lie and cover up for him because he hunted with 2. I think there were 2 members also. And at first, the members said that the mule deers belonged to them, that they shot them and they gifted him the mounts and everything. Uh-huh. But after further investigation, it was found that those two guys were actually not present, or they may have been present, but they were not the ones who harvested the animals. It was actually the police chief who did, and they were just trying to cover it up. Yeah, dude. So this guy, I think, rightfully earned the title of Jackwagon of the Week.
Absolutely. And you would think that somebody like in a position of authority like that would have, more respect for the law.
You would think, man. You would think.
That's pitiful.
It is pitiful. It sucks.
Congratulations, or not congratulations, rather, for being the Jackwagon of the Week.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. We should have like a trophy. We should mail people stuff like those certificates.
Dude, that would be hilarious. Have ChatGPT create an image.
Oh, man. That'd be great. Okay. So Jackwagon of the Week. And then there are two articles that I came across that may pique your interest. So we can go either one or maybe even two if we have enough time. But one, obviously, you and I have discussed before. Actually, you made this known to me, is that Colorado is now doing away with over-the-counter elk tags, specifically archery elk tags, to non-residents, I think beginning in 2025, if I'm not mistaken. This other thing that I came across today, rather interesting, Kentucky is making it illegal, or trying to make it illegal, to hunt hogs in the state. Which, which is a bit.
I'd like to talk about that one because there's a lot going on in Arkansas too. I don't know if I've talked to you about it. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast, but similar stuff going on in Arkansas. So let's start with that and see where it leads. And you could talk about that one, and I'll talk about what I know about Arkansas.
Okay. So to give a little bit of, I guess, a little bit of context, feral hogs are invasive. They cause a bunch of property damage, a bunch of agricultural damage. They can, they're just nasty critters. On the flip side of that, they also give sportsmen another, animal to pursue, right? Especially in Texas. Hog hunting is huge in Texas and honestly quite a lot of the southern states. It's a pretty popular animal. I'm not going to say game animal, but it's a pretty popular animal just because they're everywhere. They do, people say they don't taste good. I think they taste good, whatever. And you can hunt them year round, essentially, at least here in Texas. There are variations with that state to state, like some may have seasons, whatever. But essentially, they're just a nuisance, and states handle them differently. In Texas, you don't even need a hunting license as a resident anyway. I don't know about non-resident, but as a resident, you don't need a hunting license to hunt hogs. You just need to have hunter education, I think, on private lands anyway. You do on public lands. Those are different on private lands. So the state of Kentucky is trying to make it illegal to hunt wild pigs. The thinking is that when you pigs typically move in groups. So when you fire a round at an animal, whether you hit it or not, it tends to scatter the group. So they think then you're fragmenting the group, and they're going to kind of go off, and you're essentially taking one group and making more of them. So thereby increasing the spread, essentially. It's kind of what they're saying. So they can kind of go off and find another group, or maybe start their own or whatever. And then these pigs can breed, I think, up to like 6 times a year or more or something like that. And they have a ton of piglets per group, whatever. So it's not the right word, but they can have
Sounder is the word.
Like they're like when they give birth, they can have a ton of little piglets. So each time they do that, and they can reproduce up to like 6 times a year. Yeah. So one sow can produce, a ton of offspring. And so if they go off and they form their own little groups, whatever, they can essentially just reproduce at a pretty rapid rate. There was a study that was done in one state. I can't remember what the state was, but when they legalized the hunting of pigs, they actually noticed an increase in the wild pig population. So there is, I guess, some science to kind of back this up, right? But I think it's also a state-by-state thing. There was this article, I believe, came from Meat Eater, if I'm not mistaken. One of the guys from the Meat Eater crew provided another perspective. He stated that that while that may be true, what they were saying, it could also be true, and what he thinks maybe more so the reason behind their rationale for this decision is that they want to keep from creating this kind of, I guess, pig hunting. They want to keep from monetizing it essentially, like Texas has, right? Mm-hmm. Even though pigs are a huge nuisance and everything, ranches still sell hunts for pigs. They're probably not taking as many as they should. And they're just, the state's just covered up in them, right? And so, but with that, there's been, there's people are coming out with like night vision hunts, like night vision stuff for them. There's a huge market for pig hunting in Texas on private ranches and all that stuff. People are making money off this. Manufacturers are making money off this, making like pig specific ammunition. Again, night vision optics, things like that. And so they're seeing an uptick in like this new kind of, pig hunting culture, if you will. So they think that by making it illegal, they'll keep from doing that and thereby incentivizing landowners, keeping them from selling hunts and things like that to kind of create the pig hunting culture that's seen in other states like Texas, which I can totally see, if I think if anything, human history, if there's a way to make money off anything, people are going to find a way to do it, even if it's not in the best interest of certain groups, And absolutely. You talk to a lot of people here in Texas, even though they're bad, you ask a hardcore hunter, they're probably going to still want to have pigs, because it gives them a year-round target. It gives them food, whatever. And it just gives them a reason to kind of be outdoors, regardless of all the damages and things that come along with that. So I think it's an interesting decision by the state of Kentucky, but only time will really tell how it all works out. And again, I think it's a state by state basis, so the other, I guess, component to this. So the reason why they're banning hunting, I believe they're still allowing trapping, or at least if you're having pig problems, you have to go and you have to notify somebody. They'll go and they'll trap them. They think it's a more effective way to remove the population because you can catch multiple at one time versus maybe one or two if you're out there shooting them. And then, it'll reduce the amount that you actually like scare off and spread out and stuff like that. So they will still allow trapping, which is probably the most effective way to manage these animals. Now, again, it's a state by state basis, right? Like Texas is covered up in them. In certain states where the population is still pretty small, hunting, like banning hunting and still allowing trapping may make more sense because of that.
Yeah.
But in Texas, again, because it's so huge, I think at this point the gloves are off. Like any means necessary to get them off. There's dudes selling helicopter hunts out here. They're still doing trapping. They're still, doing all this stuff. And I think no matter what we do, we're probably never ever going to get them removed from the state of Texas, or maybe from the North American continent. It's just, I think at this point we're just going to try and figure out how to live with them, how to manage them, hopefully reduce their numbers, but I don't think we're ever going to get rid of them. But, again, in certain states where the population may be smaller, focusing on the trapping aspect of things for the purposes of removing these invasive animals, I think for the purposes of reducing damages and all the things that come along with it, makes more sense. So while I imagine there's a lot of hunters who are pissed off about Kentucky's decision, I would imagine that there's probably going to be some good to come from it. But again, only time will tell because this is all, just preliminary stuff. We really have no idea. It could hurt, it could help. Only time will tell. But I can understand the rationale. I can understand why they would do it. I just think it's an interesting decision, especially from someone who's lived in Texas, I'm just familiar with our issue. Rarely have I considered the issue that they have had with that pigs have caused in other states. So I think it's just an interesting kind of component. But going back to what you were saying, I have no idea what's going on in Arkansas because I don't think we've ever talked about it. So what's the deal? What's the deal there?
So they have been doing that here for not too long, but they've been running studies for years doing that exact thing on public lands. So they have stopped allowing people to hunt instead of being open all season, they were making hunts seasonally. And so what happens is, so you have a sounder of pigs, and it's correct. Whenever you shoot one, kill two, and there's 15 of them, they're going to scatter, and they can all create their own individual sounders, and they're not going to all be in the same area. And what's happening is they're going and they started putting larger ring traps to capture the whole sounder and euthanize the whole sounder, which stops them from growing. And in the studies that they've been doing this on private property, there's been numerous areas where the population of pigs has gone down to where now they're not even coming across hardly any pigs on this piece of property. And the issue with pigs is, so you're right, they can have up to like 4 to 6 times they can breed a year, and they can have 12 to 15 piglets every single time, and then the mortality rate of these piglets is extremely low, like 20%. So they're just expanding like crazy. And then whenever you split up a sounder, you end up with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different sounders, all from one individual sounder, just because you harvested 1 or 2 pigs. And so, and from what they've seen from the science and the study of it, is if they've been trapping the whole sounder, they've been having a lot more success in eradicating the species. And so they've made it now, like on private land, it's completely differently. On public land, they started making certain areas of public land where you can only hunt seasonally and only trap season, that like they're only trapping certain seasons of the year, and they're noticing big differences in it. But yeah, it was whenever I first heard that they're putting more regulations on hog hunting, I was just like, that doesn't make sense to me, until I started actually looking into it and seeing the science behind it and seeing the actual statistics on what's been happening since they've been doing it. And so I don't know if Kentucky's the same to where you can still hunt on private land that way. But here in Arkansas, public land, it's only seasonal, no more night hunting and stuff like that. So it's making a big difference, though, from what I've seen here in the state of Arkansas. In Texas, I don't know if that would be the case, being that the issue is so bad. And with everything being private land there, I mean, it's not going to make as much of a difference as it would in Arkansas, where there's a lot more public land. But yeah, they have noticed a lot of differences from allowing hunts and not allowing hunts. And another thing that they've been finding is, if you're not allowed to hunt, it's been making big changes in people actually trapping hogs and relocating them for hunting purposes in order for them to make a profit. And they started doing genetic studies, and there's a lot of areas where they're finding numerous different, I wouldn't say different species, but different genetics in the same area. And they think it's anthropogenic. They think people are taking these hogs and bringing them to these certain areas and, breaking up sounders that way by removing them or relocating them in order for them to make a profit, rather than the hogs actually, because the hogs, they'll find them in one part of the state, they'll find hogs that have genetics from an 8-hour drive away. Well, those hogs ain't gonna go from that long. So they're being relocated, and if they're putting more regulations on hunting, then that's going to stop that from happening as well, and areas getting hogs that probably wouldn't have hogs if they weren't being relocated to those areas. So in the state of Arkansas, it's made a huge difference in terms of how many hog populations there are and how big the population is. I can't speak for Kentucky because I've never even been to Kentucky. Actually, have I? I think I've been through Kentucky, but I've never done much recreation in Kentucky. Texas, it would be a lot harder because it's all private land. So,
see, that's an interesting point. So when I was in South Carolina, we were one of the guys that was on the crew with us. He's a huge hunter, and he wanted to try and see if he could, chase some hogs and stuff like that while we were out there. And it turns out that South Carolina actually has a hog hunting season. And if I'm not mistaken, man, I didn't read the regulations, so I apologize if I get this wrong. This is just from what I remember just through our discussion. He met somebody and was kind of just picking their brain about the whole situation. Apparently, if you can only hunt pigs on public land, I believe, you can only hunt pigs if you're out, you can only take a pig if you're out hunting something else. So for example, if you're out deer hunting and you happen to see a pig come by, then you can take it. But you cannot legally go out there and just shoot one whenever you want. Supposedly, I could be getting it wrong, and I apologize if I have. Please fact check me, somebody. But I believe that's somewhere in line with what we were discussing, which is an interesting thing. This was prior to me finding the article, because that was literally just today that I found that. So I didn't understand that. I was like, why the heck are they going to do that? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, again, like in Texas, we try and shoot all the pigs. It doesn't make sense to have a season because they're a huge problem. But after reading this article, I was like, man, okay, that makes a ton of sense, actually. I think if like early on, if Texas had adopted this, it might have maybe made a little bit of a difference. But again, you make a good point. Texas is 98% privately owned or something like that. And I know on public lands, there are some units where you can hunt pigs year round, only using certain methods like shotgun or archery. Some will allow rifle. And then there are other places where you can only hunt them during certain times of the year. And again, only using certain types of weapons. And then sometimes baiting is not allowed. They're regulated differently than on private lands. On private lands, you can hunt them year round. You can do whatever you want, And I came across, I don't know if it's still up, but I once came across a video on YouTube. This dude built a harpoon cannon and he was trying to shoot a pig with that thing. It was crazy. Yeah, dude, like people are just, for better or worse, getting really creative on how to, I would say assist with eliminating the problem, but I really don't think people are going out there with the intention of, I need to try and do what I can to help out with this issue. I think they're just going out there for their own like personal reasons. And it just happens to be that it kind of helps the issue, For the example, the harpoon cannon. Like if you really wanted to, go out there and help with the issue, you could trap them or use a, rifle or whatever, something a bit more, ethical. Well, again, I say ethical. That's kind of another topic for this type of situation, because when you're trying to eliminate a problem, what is ethical and what isn't, So I guess a proper word would be with more efficacy, something that's more efficient, than a harpoon gun, where everything has to be just right. So again, I think, so here in Texas, they've kind of monetized the whole thing. People are making a lot of money pig hunting. Big ranchers are making a lot of money pig hunting. Like, dude, you can go out to a ranch, pay some dude $150 to go out there and shoot a pig, hunt one day, not even guaranteed to shoot anything. And that rancher's made $150 just to give some dude, an opportunity to go out there. He does that a couple times a week or whatever, and he's making pretty good money. That's a pretty good incentive. I mean, he doesn't have to lift a finger. It's just, just open the gate, let the dude go out there and try and get one, or a woman, whatever, kid, doesn't matter, but just to let the person go out there and try and get a pig. So it's hard to turn away that kind of money when it's that easy, and people are willing to try or willing to pay that and more. So, I mean, I've seen like hog hunting packages for like thousands of dollars. I mean, that includes lodging and other things. Like it's an experience or whatever, and while that may sound attractive to somebody who doesn't come from a state where hog hunting is like super popular, that may sound like a good deal. It may sound something like they want to do, but at the end of the day, it's not really, I guess, helping with the issue, So it's just an interesting topic, man, and one that's kind of, I don't know if it's a hot topic, but it's one that can definitely, more or less set the tone for future legislation, if you will.
Oh, for sure.
For this type of animal, well, for this animal specifically. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think Texas will ever follow suit, just because I think we're too deep into it as it is,
Well, it's hard to put those regulations on private property owners as well. I mean, that's one thing that the state of Arkansas was doing, is Arkansas Game and Fish was saying, okay, well, if you're a private property owner and you do have hogs, then you can partner with us. We'll give you, a free trap. You just have to register it. And I mean, they're offering all sorts of incentives for private landowners to do the study as well, to help with it. But when you live in a state that is as massive as Texas is and has 98% privately owned property, I mean, you were speaking on a rancher that's making profit of this. Okay, well, he can either spend $500 on a trap, with incentives and stuff, or he can make $500 in one night just for letting 4 dudes go out there and go hunt.
But not only that, but that dude has to take the trap. He has to pay for it. Or even if the state provides it, he would still have to go take the trap, set it up. He'd have to take time out of his day to check it. And if he catches 1 or 2 or 3, whatever, then he's got to deal with it. And then it's just, it's more of a hassle. It may not cost him much money, but it'll cost him in time. Even if the state were to give him a bounty, let's say each pig was worth like $100. If he has 3 in the trap there, that's $300. All he has to do is open the gate, let a couple guys go in there for a night, and he can make double, triple, quadruple that in a single night. Yeah, and he don't have to do anything. He's like, all right, just lock up when you guys leave, have fun or whatever, and it's just like no skin off his bones. He could sleep. He could be laying in bed at night, dead asleep, making money. So it's, it's really, really hard to try and get, I can see why it'd be very challenging to try and get people on board with this, but there is, I think, maybe some changing mentality, because I remember in one of the classes that I was TAing, they had the students had to give a presentation on some kind of ecological topic. There's a student, she decided to do hers on the ecological impacts of wild hogs. And it was a great presentation. She did awesome. And at the end of the presentation, I asked her, I was like, okay, so given everything that you've researched for this presentation, what is your attitude now towards pigs? Like if someone presented to you a red button, you press that button and the hogs would automatically disappear forever. Would you or would you not press the button? And she kind of thought about it for a little bit and she goes, I'm a hunter. Like I love to hunt. I actually love to hunt hogs. Part of the reason why I chose to do this topic. I don't think I'd push that button. I was like, interesting. I was like, okay, cool. So I turned to the class. I was like, all right, class, same question. If you were presented with a button, given everything that you heard for this presentation right now today, plus along with what you know now, or what you may have learned previously if you hunted them or not, or know anything about them, would you not press the button? And it was like divided. A few people said they would, a few people said they wouldn't. And surprisingly, because I knew there's a few students in that class, I knew for a fact they were hunters, so we talked about it in class and stuff like that. Many of them said that they would. They said they would because they also have friends and family that are landowners who've had to deal with the issues that are caused by the hogs, and they said it's not worth it. They would for sure press the button. And I was like, interesting. So, even then, a class divided literally pretty much in half. And so it'd be interesting to kind of pose that same question to the actual state. I would venture to say that, like if you're a rancher, specifically like a game ranch, if you own and operate a game ranch where you make the most of your money through offering hunts, maybe or maybe not even most, but a good chunk of your money comes from offering hunts, you would probably choose to not press that button. But if you're like a farmer or heavily invested in agriculture where that's the bulk of your income, I would venture to think that you would probably press that button. Even if you like to hunt, but if you're more invested, if your livelihood is more invested in the agricultural products that you produce, I would think that you would press that button. So I guess it all just depends on who you're talking to, who you're speaking to, and what they have, at stake in this whole dilemma. But it's a really interesting topic, man. Something I never considered, something I didn't even know was really going on in the world of hog hunting culture, if you will. So it's really, I was like, dude, that's crazy, man. Like to me, it sounded crazy when I first read the title. I was like, why would you do that? But then after reading it, it's like, okay, that makes sense. And maybe Texas should reevaluate our approach to how we actually handle the invasive issue. Like, do we really want them gone? If not, we got to be honest, because what are we really trying to do here? It's just, I don't know.
There has to be some type of management because there's so many people. Because they cause millions and millions and millions of dollars of damage every year. And it's affecting those livelihoods, like you're saying, of those farmers that make their income from agriculture. So, and not only that, there's even, game ranches that don't specialize in hogs where their fences are constantly being tore up and they're losing, exotic species that they import in that they have to, spend money to breed and stuff. So it causes a lot of issues in terms of, just a financial burden to a lot of farmers and ranchers out there. But with it being private property, it's hard to put these mandates out there and to get these, landowners on board. So, it would be a tough one, but I'd like to see if we can get a biologist on and talk to them and see, what research has been done to see what the best approach would be as of right now.
Well, see, here's the thing too, though. So the private land issue is an issue and it can make things complicated. However, still Parks and Wildlife, they still have the regulations, like, for whitetail deer, for game animals, for example, that people even on private lands have to abide by. So if Parks and Wildlife were able to do, change the policy, in order to continue doing things lawfully, they would have to abide by those. But again, this would be tough to enforce because Texas is 98% privately owned. There's only so many game wardens per county. There's no way they can go out there and make sure people are doing things by the books. So they can enact the legislation, but being able to enforce it would be the limiting factor, I would think. But, there's another issue. Like, if they have to find a way to keep people from incentivizing they would have to find a way to keep people from incentivizing hog hunting. For example, man, this is going to be a bad example, but it's kind of related. So a while back, have you ever heard of scimitar oryx?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I think I know exactly where you're going with this. I believe I've read about it.
So a while back, scimitar oryx, they're like these they're beautiful creatures. They're like white and orange or burnt orange with these really long horns. They're amazing creatures. And they're actually pretty common. I'm not going to say pretty common, but you can find them on certain private ranches in Texas, pretty much throughout the entire country, or throughout the entire state. I've seen them in the hill country. I've seen them in the South Texas. It's kind of wherever. For a couple years back, they passed a bill where it made the hunting of these animals illegal in the state of Texas, if I'm not mistaken. And before it passed, many of the ranch owners were pretty much just eliminating the entire herds that they had because it was no longer making them money. It was costing them money to keep them on the ranch. They'd have to feed them. They have to make sure they're doing okay, and then they're going to be, if the populations continue to grow, they're going to be competing with other populations of other game animals that they can hunt there and all this stuff. So it didn't, from a business perspective, it didn't make sense to have the animal there if it was not going to bring them money. So they were killing them by the droves, dude. And if I'm not mistaken, these animals are nearly extinct in their native populations, and which is part of the reason why they wanted to stop the hunting for these animals, because their populations were so low. But they didn't expect to nearly annihilate the populations entirely because of what they were trying to do by protecting them. And, if hog hunting were the same way, hypothetically speaking, if you could make it to where there's no longer any monetary gain to come from hog hunting, any type of financial incentive, then perhaps you would start seeing more people actively trying to eliminate these hogs because they're no longer bringing income, but they're costing you. It's now becoming an issue, to have, like, if you go out, like, even if a game ranch, like you were saying, game ranch owner was going out there, they found their fences messed up, or maybe they planted some crop for their deer and they found that all just messed up, from the hogs running around and stuff. It's costing them money and they cannot do anything about it because they cannot hunt them, it would cost them more money to keep them if they cannot make money from it. So if this would never happen, right? But if they were somehow to, like, making money off hog hunting, like, illegal or something like that, or just where it didn't exist, then you would probably say, okay, I got to take care of this problem because it's not doing me any good. Instead of making me $500 a night, it's costing me $1,000 or whatever the case is. Yeah. So I think the only real way to see any kind of change in this is to make it to where there's no longer any incentive to keep hogs on your property or to have them on your ranch or to still hunt, whatever the case may be. But again, I don't think that would ever be a thing in Texas. And I'm not saying that's what they should do. I'm just saying, and this is just me spitballing, that's the only way I can see people actually starting to really take this issue seriously and reducing the hog population.
Yeah. Which, I mean, even if they were to make that, you're always going to have the outlaws. There's going to be cash hunts. They're going to be like, hey, yeah, bring you and 10 buddies and give me $100 each, and y'all come out and just kill as many hogs as you want.
Be like the moonshiners, the bootleggers.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so much property that they'll say, okay, well, yeah, I haven't seen a game warden out here in 35 years, so kind of one of those things. It'll be hard to enforce.
Again, and that's the other thing, man. Like, it's going back to like any kind of other legislation you could pass. It'd be you can do it, but to enforce it, it's going to be another matter.
Yeah.
There's just not enough game wardens. There's some ranches that are like thousands and thousands and thousands of acres. They ain't no one going to know, dude. And then now with silencers and everything, bro, you can go out there fire. I mean, you can go crazy and no one would ever know for the better. So, I mean, like, again, these are just some ideas. Not even ideas. I'm not trying to propose anything. I'm just by any means. Don't get me. So if you're a hunter and you're hearing me, like, I'm not anti-hunting. I love hunting. I've hunted hogs before, whatever. But just from a conservation perspective, because if we're being honest, even if you're a hunter, I think you can acknowledge the fact that these animals are in fact doing harm to the environment. They're doing harm to people in agriculture. There are probably more cons than there are pros with this particular animal. So again, like I'm a hunter. I love hunting. I'm a proponent for hunting. I've hunted hogs in the past myself. I will probably do it in the future too. So I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm anti-hog hunting or whatever. Yeah. But I'm just saying, it's okay to feel one way, but also be able to see from a different perspective. And that's the only perspective I'm trying to offer. Like, I think that would probably the only way to remove that monetary gain that people get from hog hunting. Might be the only way to effectively get people to start caring, because at that point it's now costing them money instead of giving them an extra way to make money. So again, it's just an ongoing issue. I don't think it's ever going to change, well, maybe, I don't know. Because they've here in Texas, I've heard of different things they've tried trapping them and then, like sterilizing the males and females. That's too that's too expensive. And it's too, both in time and money. It's just not efficient, really, is what it comes down to. Hog hunting out of helicopters, actually, I think there was a study I came across a long time ago that said that there's been some changes that they've noticed from doing that. Because at that point you can kill quite a few, probably more than you can trap at a given time. But again, that's expensive. Like, that's thousands of dollars there, because you got to pay for the fuel. The pilot's not going to be cheap, because those dudes are bad they're pretty damn good how they maneuver and everything, and they got to keep you safe, and you got to pay for the guns and all the ammo and all that stuff. So it's an expensive hunt that not everybody can do. So that's not even really efficient as well. And then, they've talked about poisoning and all that stuff, but the problem with that is it can get non-target animals like raccoons and possums or whatever. So that really just leaves trapping and hunting. And, cause at least with those, you can specifically target those things, I'm sure there's probably some animals that get stuck in a hog trap, whatever. At least deer can jump out. A raccoon might be able to climb out, possum too, but hogs can't really do that. They're not as athletic as some of those other animals. So hog traps are pretty efficient. But yeah, man, it's just an interesting issue. And again, it's like, even as I'm saying this now, I am torn, because the hunter in me is grateful that we can, that this is like an animal that we have to pursue year round. And it is good table fare. I think personally, I really enjoy, hog meat. Heck, Jesse Griffith's written the whole book about hog hunting, or at least, about butchering hogs and stuff like that. And he's a big fan of hog meat as well. So it'd be interesting to get his perspective on the whole thing, because that's a big game animal that he has in his restaurant and all that stuff. But again, from the conservation minded side of me, it's like, man, this is an issue that we should get under control. And that doesn't even mean to like exterminate them completely, but at least to bring them down to more manageable numbers where we're not having as much damage, where we could still hunt them, like have a sustainable, hunting or hog hunting or population that we can hunt. I think, I don't think that's unfair to ask. It's just, how do we get there? That's the big issue. And that's an issue people have been asking for a long time. We still haven't got there. So I don't know if we're going to get there anytime soon.
Right. Yeah. Texas is just so big. There's so many of them, and there's so much private land. I don't know if there is any way in a timely manner to get to a point where it's a manageable population.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is fun though. Last hog that I killed was like a good 300 pounds. So it was a big old boar. But hog hunting is fun. I want to get out and do some hog hunting this year.
Yeah,
I haven't been hog hunting in a few years, and
same. I still want to get one with my bow again. Like, I'm not opposed to hog hunting. It's just we do need to address this issue.
Yep. And the state of Arkansas is, and it sounds like Kentucky is too, but it's different here. We have a lot more public land, so there's a lot more things that they can do. But we are almost at like 50 minutes. So
we said this is gonna be a short one, but obviously not.
Yeah. Do you want to keep this as snapshots, or you want to keep going?
I mean, we only need 2 more minutes, right? So I guess we can keep going. So then do you want to talk about the other thing, I guess?
I talked to a previous guest of ours, a guy that we grew up with, John Martin. I'll pull up his messages. I didn't even think about that. Because he knows a little bit more about the situation up there in Colorado, being that he hunts up there.
Yeah.
So give me half a second.
So while you're getting that, give our kind of fill our listeners in. So this isn't old news. This has been maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe a little bit more. I don't remember. But essentially, Colorado ruled that, I believe starting in 2025, they will no longer offer over-the-counter archery elk tags to non-residents. Again, like Russell was saying, a friend of ours from high school and former guest was on. He actually hunts Colorado, pretty much every year with a bow using these over-the-counter elk tags, and has been quite successful doing so. And so Russell talked to him, got his opinion on things like that. And it is an interesting topic. I was just going through some of the comments online. I came across it on Instagram. I can't remember. I think you sent it to me, Russell. So I was going through some of the comments, and man, there are a lot of people, I guess specifically from Colorado, that are like, yeah, thank God, about time, this and that. And then there are a lot of people who are not from Colorado, but who like to hunt in Colorado, who are like, man, that's not fair, and this and that and whatever, which I understand both sides of the point. And then after looking at some statistics, more non-resident hunters received over-the-counter tags or purchased over-the-counter tags than did Colorado residents. I think it was like 19,000 or something-ish non-residents versus like 16,000-ish residents. And so the idea was to kind of put residents first, to make these things available to more residents rather than promoting non-residents and stuff like that. So yeah, just kind of providing some context.
Exactly. And so one thing that John told me about that I didn't really think much about is that New Mexico, Arizona, Montana, Wyoming, elk hunting is prevalent in all those states, but they do not do an over-the-counter tag situation. It is all by draw. So what was happening is all the people that want to go elk hunting in all these other states, and they'll apply for, to be drawn, but they don't draw a tag, then they just go to Colorado and like, oh, that's my second best option. I'm going to go and get an elk in Colorado. And so that's what's been happening forever. And so Colorado was one of the last ones to offer over-the-counter elk. And so residents from the other 49 states would apply for New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, whatever. And if they didn't, would go to Colorado as a backup because they still could. So Colorado would essentially get everyone in the country who wanted to elk hunt that didn't draw. And it was because it was their only option. And so the perception of hunters in Colorado is the out-of-state hunters are flooding in and crowding the units and messing everything up, which I could definitely see. So they went to a draw system starting in 2025, and they'll still probably sell as many tags as they did before this regulation gets put in place, but it's going to make people apply for them in advance. So the draw, instead of using Colorado as their backup, if they didn't draw a tag, is it's kind of going to be the same as all the other states, which is going to keep the populations of out-of-state hunters down going into Colorado, which is going to make it a little bit better for the residents of Colorado. So when I first heard about it, I was like, I didn't know what to think about it, because I'd never thought about it as, oh, well, that's kind of like everybody's last resort. So everybody is flooding there. if they don't get drawn elsewhere. So, in terms of hunting for, if you're a resident there, I could see how that would piss everybody off, because it's like, oh, well, we're kind of stuck in this situation where we're the state that's here, and we're the only ones that are offering over the counter tags, and now everybody's just going to come here just because they can't get drawn anywhere else. So, I mean, I definitely see how it's going to make an impact in the positive direction, especially if you're a Colorado resident. But there are people that are out of staters that have been going there for years, and it's a part of their ritual. And unfortunately, now they're not going to be able to hunt. I mean, they can still get drawn, which is good, but it's not a guarantee anymore for some of those that have been, kind of made it a yearly thing. Kind of sucks for them, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. And I mean, so I say this as someone who's never hunted in Colorado, but who really wants to hunt out west. Doesn't have to be Colorado specifically, although I have thought about trying to do the over the counter thing, which I'm not going to be able to do anymore. So that being said, man, I can see why Colorado would do something like this. I feel like this is something else that Texas would probably do, because Texas is all about Texas first, right? For the most part.
Yeah.
I think if they had something like this, they'd probably do it too. But it is kind of an issue when more out-of-state people are buying tags than your in-state residents. However, that also being said, I agree that no one really knows how this is going to pan out, right? There could be, like was said by John, that they will still offer as many drawn tags as there would be over-the-counter tags. So it may not actually make a difference, but it would still appease the whole you now have to apply kind of mentality. So it could still satisfy some folks in that way, but some people could still go out and get their over-the-counter tags and all that stuff. Not over-the-counter tags. They'll still get a tag to hunt in Colorado. Now that may not be the case now, because I know with certain states, like, you have to apply, and depending on what unit, your odds will differ based on the unit, because like there are some units that are known to be like trophy quality, and those are super coveted tags. Like, you have to have a ton of like points banked up so you can try and even have a chance at that. And some people, it takes 10, 15, 20 years in order to get that hunt of a lifetime, if you will. And then there are certain like units where it may not be like that. You can only, you might be able to get it your first time, or maybe, your second or third time or whatever. And so this might be one of those situations. Maybe, they only have so many tags or whatever. And they're, you might, instead of being able to do it this year, maybe you'll have to do it in a year or two, or whatever the case may be. But you could still do it. I would still think that there's still going to be opportunity. You just may have to wait a little bit longer, which I understand. If you've been doing this for a long time, like you were saying, it can be incredibly frustrating, especially if this is like something maybe you did with your kids or your loved one or whatever the case may be. I can see how that would suck. I would be bummed out for sure.
Yeah.
And like John's been going out there for the last couple of years. He's been doing really well, figuring them out, being really successful on over the counter elk tags. And now he's going to have to start applying. And, again, that's not a bad thing. Depending on how the state goes about this, it can bring potentially additional income for the state. It could potentially, they can use this opportunity to help manage these lands and kind of produce the quote unquote quality of the bulls in those areas by minimizing, or not necessarily minimizing, but kind of restricting how many tags can be drawn for certain units and things like that. And if there's that many people that are going there each and every year, there's probably a ton of pressure. Those elk are going to be super tough to find, super tough to hunt. And I've heard stories of over-the-counter elk, in Colorado specifically, being really, really tough because everybody's going out there, residents and non-residents. So it's like 19,000 non-residents, 16,000 residents. You have like 35,000 people going out there at any given time. That's a ton of people.
Yeah.
So now if you can manage that a little bit, maybe it might increase the success of hunts. It might increase the quality of the animals, maybe bigger bodied, bigger antlered, because there's more forage and stuff available. Actually, if there's more animals, forage quality forage availability might go down. So maybe not so much that, but it might be able to, at least with the with the age structure, if I imagine that a lot of people are going over the counter, I don't know what the regulations are. So this is just going off the top of my head. If you're going out there, you're probably going to want to shoot the first thing that you see. So it may not be the biggest bull or the most mature bull, but now if you're kind of putting some more regulations on there, you can actually wait. You know, if they're not being as hunted, you might be seeing more animals. You can maybe be a little bit more selective on the animals that you're taking. It could potentially increase, you know, the quality of bull that you take, or maybe allow these animals to get a little bit older, a little bit more mature, all that stuff. Again, this is all just speculation. I don't actually know what the regulations are for Colorado hunting specifically. But these are potential opportunities, or I guess potential pros that may come from this particular decision. So it is interesting. I can understand the frustration by non-residents, but I can understand why a lot of residents would be really, really happy, because now, you know, your state's taking care of you. They're putting, I guess, your best interests at hand, you know. And I remember reading through some of those comments. A lot of people were like, you know, this is kind of approaching like anti-hunting. What's next? Like an outright ban and this and that, whatever. And I think that's a bit of a stretch. You know, every state has regulations. People have been doing drawn hunts for a long time, and I don't think it's going to affect your ability to hunt. It's just may require a bit more work and a bit more luck to actually be able to go out there, you know.
Right.
So I don't know, man. There's some give and take, obviously, with anything, especially in this particular world that we live in, you know. So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's just hard for, and I get it. You know, I see it from the, you know, hunter side of it, that if it's something you've been doing, it's hard to have something taken away.
Yeah.
It's hard to have something taken away that you've been doing, or maybe that your family has been doing generationally. It's hard to have something taken away. So regulations suck in that aspect.
Yeah.
But when you think about, you don't live there, you're not a resident of that state. You're not paying taxes to that state. You know, you're not, you know, putting much into the economy of that state. You know, just you have to take care of your residents before taking care of other residents, you know, and so I get it in that aspect, that the people that live there, and they may live there for the recreation of the state. That may be the main reason they're there, and they're paying taxes, you know, every paycheck for it, and they're paying property taxes and all sorts of stuff. Like, you got to take care of them first. And so I get it.
Exactly.
And you know, I see both sides of it.
You know, that is the benefit of living in a state like that. You know, being a resident in a state like that. You know, it's like if we were, you know, let's say, for example, we were born in Idaho. We got to take, you know, we had the opportunity to partake in the recreational opportunities there. And we start seeing an influx of people coming in. And we're just like, dude, what the hell, man? Like, come on. This is like for us, you know, don't try. And it's kind of like the whole, you know, like the whole Texas thing. We're like, yeah, you're welcome here. Just don't change how we do things, you know? And so if anybody should understand it, it should be Texans. Cause like, that's like the mentality here, you know, like, you're welcome. Just don't change anything. Just don't touch it. You know, leave it alone.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like,
don't broke what ain't fixed.
Yeah.
So don't fix what ain't broke.
Yeah. And it's kind of, so like, that's kind of, I guess, the deal with Colorado now too. You know, they're like, hey, like, you're welcome, but now you gotta try a little bit harder. You know, we gotta take care of our people. We gotta start taking care of our people. So, you know, I get it.
Exactly.
It does suck for those, like you were saying, for those who have been doing this every year. And you know, I sympathize with you. You know, like, I've had dreams of hunting in Colorado. I was really hoping to do an OTC hunt within the next 2 years. That's no longer an option for me. I'm gonna have to start applying, and that's okay. You know, I've waited 30 years of my life. I'm okay with waiting another 2, 3, or whatever it might be. You know. In the meantime, you know, I can start applying for other states too. So, you know, it is what it is, but, you know, that's just it. It is what it is. What can we do?
Yeah.
So
if I'm not mistaken,
as a non-resident,
there's still a couple other areas that you can still get over the counter tags. So.
Yeah. And then for different game animals, you know, like, you know, it's still a bit more like, some animals are more accessible than others. I mean, everybody wants to hunt elk. Those are pretty coveted.
Pronghorn.
Same here. Mule deer too are pretty coveted. Like Western animals. Like, when people think of Western big game hunting, like elk and mule deer are probably at the forefront of that. You know, but so those tags are coveted, especially in like the trophy states. Like, I think Arizona is a trophy elk state. I don't remember what's for mule deer, maybe Idaho or something. Can't remember, but, or I think Nevada actually is for archery. I think they have some awesome deer there for some archery units that are really good, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, you know, it's just part of the game now. There's so many drawn hunts in many states. This is just another one of them. It does suck, but it kind of is what it is. If you want to hunt, they're not saying you can't hunt. You just have to apply now. So
exactly,
that's just it.
So overall, I think it's the right decision. It's going to piss a lot of people off. It already has pissed a lot of people off, but I think it's a move in the right direction for sure. Taking care of the residents of Colorado. So
yeah. So we'll see, man. But
maybe soon we'll both of us will get an opportunity to go hunt out west, because
I need to start applying. I need to start building up those points, dude.
Dude, I applied for so many last year, all over the place. I applied a lot in Texas last year too. Didn't get drawn for anything, but yeah. So this year I'm gonna do the same and start stacking up points as much as I can, and hopefully get drawn for something.
Yeah, so. I gotta start putting in this year too. Man, I really want, like you said, I really want to get a pronghorn. I think they're so cool, dude. They're like they're
nuisances in a lot of places too. So
they're what now?
They're nuisances in a lot of places. A lot of ranchers don't like them in certain areas,
which is crazy. I never thought about that. But dude, they're distinctly unique, man. Like there's no other animal in the world like them. They're purely like North American. Like, I mean, I don't know, dude. They're just such a cool creature. Second fastest land animal in the world next to the cheetah. Because
I didn't know they were that fast.
Dude, they're fast. I believe if I'm not mistaken, they're the second fastest land animal in North America. Sorry, in the world.
That's crazy.
Yeah. They run like 60 miles an hour or something like that. They're pretty stinking fast because they co-evolved with, what was it, the American cheetah, I think, during the Ice Age or something like that. So
I see.
Yeah, so they're speed, that's why they call them speed goats. They're super, super fast. They don't like fences. From what I understand, they can jump. They don't like to, because when they're adapted to open plains, they're not used to having to do that. But yeah, dude, they shed their horns like antlers, but they're horns.
Really?
It's like a horn sheet. Yeah, it's weird. It's like a hybrid antler horn thing. I don't know exactly what it's called, but yeah. So you can find like these little sheds. Sometimes
that's pretty cool.
They're the only horned animal, a true horn. Like the difference between a horn and an antler. Antler's solid bone. It's not hollow. Mm-hmm. A horn is hollow. Like if you ever find like a goat skull or something like that, chances are you can probably remove the horn, or sometimes you will already find it with just like little nubs, whatever. A horn's hollow. It'll fall off, whatever. But this particular animal, it's weird because it can shed it. It can shed this little horn sheath thing. And
interesting.
Man, like super crazy good eyesight. Whenever they get nervous, the hair on their rump flares up. But yeah, they're super cool critters, man. Like
do some research. I don't know hardly anything about them.
one of my favorite North American animals. They're super, super awesome. I really want that. I want that to be my first hunt, and then I want to work my way up. So I want to go pronghorn, then mule deer, and then eventually an elk, maybe a moose,
and then moose.
Yeah, work my way up the ladder.
That's just the Alaskan native in me. I want to get a moose so bad, dude. Last time I had moose, it was like a moose rhubarb kind of stew. It was like, it was so good. It was really good.
I don't know if this is true. But supposedly one of the moose's natural predators is a killer whale.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it, I guess.
Because I guess I guess they can like sometimes go down to feed on aquatic vegetation while they're down there, or when they're swimming across something while they're doing that, a killer whale can just come in and grab them.
Interesting.
Supposedly. Again,
that would be a sight to see.
I don't know if it's true. It's just a fun fact. Someone told me one day. I should probably fact check that before I said that. Sorry, guys.
Right.
But anyways, supposedly.
Somebody will fact check us.
Supposedly. Yeah. But yeah.
I'll have to look into that. That's crazy. That'd be a sight to see for sure.
Dude, that'd be crazy. Killer whales are wild.
Yeah, they are, dude. I'd love to see one. I've never seen one in the wild. Yeah. Of course, I've seen them, aquariums or whatnot.
The Oreos of the ocean.
Yeah, scary Oreos.
Dude, have you seen that video where this girl's like paddleboarding and this pod of orcas come up to her? Dude, that'd be terrifying. Yeah. I mean, beautiful creatures, but terrifying.
Yeah, and they're not the friendliest either. Have you seen that video of the the sea lion that's trying to escape the orcas and jumps on like a pontoon boat, and the orcas just start swarming. And they're like bumping into the boat and stuff. And the dude's like, man, you got to get out of here, trying to get the seal off the boat.
Dude, have you seen how they like, I saw this video. There's one on a floating block of ice, and these orcas would make like a wave and try and knock it off, and then they'll go and grab it. It's freaking crazy. And then they'll
smart,
dude, and they'll punt that thing like 50 feet in the air. They're scary, dude.
Yeah,
they're scary.
I can't lie. I like watching those videos of seals. Those things go. They yeet them so far.
Dude, you ever seen an octopus punch a fish?
I have not.
Dude, apparently octopus, just because they want to, they'll punch fish.
Oh, the animal kingdom's a great thing. I've seen videos of the mantis shrimp punching fish.
Dude, those things are crazy.
Yeah.
They're
have the strength of like a 22 caliber round or something like that in there.
Dude, it has so much strength. It causes like a cavitation bubble, and at that point, it's so hot. It's like 5,000 degrees Celsius or something like that. It's freaking nuts. Just for a moment. Like, it's just a flash. They did I forgot, I think it was on YouTube. They slowed it down, and you could see that when it made contact, it hit with so much force. There was so much friction, I guess, at that one point. They were able to read it. It was like 5,000 degrees Kelvin or something like that. Celsius. It was insane. Those things are scary, dude. Crazy. I saw this video. This guy hooked one when he was kayak fishing, and he brought it in, and it hit him, and it got him through his wetsuit. He was just like bleeding through his leg, dude. It was crazy.
Damn. How do you hook a mantis shrimp? Where are they even at?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. And apparently there's different types of mantis shrimp. Like there's clubbers, like the kind of punch, and then there's spears. They have like little spears. It's crazy.
Really?
Supposedly, yeah. That's wild.
Crazy.
Nature's scary, man.
That. That's crazy. Well, before we get off on any other tangents, I guess that's a good place to go and call this episode. So, for those of y'all that are listening, we appreciate y'all making it to the end, and we'll catch y'all next time.
Peace.
This has been Wildlife Outdoors. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Facebook at Wildlife Outdoors and on Instagram at wild.life.outdoors. Let's go live life on the wild side.